You're listening to Emerson Whitner's NXT Report on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Emerson Whitner, and live from my worldwide headquarters in New Bedford, Massachusetts, this is your NXT audio update for Wednesday, September 2, 2015. And we had a fun little show of NXT tonight poured on. Let's jump right into it. Tonight, they began the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. I'll get into my pet peeves about the tournament at the end of the show, but this tournament, like pretty much every NXT tournament they've ever done, they could have set it up better, is what I'm going to say. But we'll get into all that here in just a minute. I do want to make a note that this is my 248th NXT review, starting back on October 19th, 2010. For all you trivia buffs out there, the very first match I reviewed was Caitlyn versus Maxine, which then was the 2010 Worst Worked Match of the Year in the Observer Awards. So in 2 weeks, it'll be my 250th review. Woohoo. Some breaking news right off the bat, and I haven't seen literally anyone else report on this, so hey, I'll give myself credit for actually watching. Before the show began, they aired a commercial saying that this Monday night, after the Stone Cold podcast on the WWE Network, will be a exclusive brand new interview with Eric Bischoff, of all people, to promote the new Monday Night War DVD. So since this podcast is going to be after Raw, and that'll go about an hour, the Bischoff interview probably won't be until like 12:15, 12:20 or so. And unless I'm horribly mistaken, this is the first time they've advertised it at all. On to the show. First match, the Ascension returned to NXT to face Baron Corbin and Rhino in the first round of the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Ascension won the NXT Tag Team titles on September 12th, 2013 against Corey Graves and Adrian Neville, and did not lose them until September 11th, 2014 against the Lucha Dragons. They are not only the longest reigning NXT Tag Team champions, but they hold the distinction of having the longest single individual title reign of any NXT championship. Meanwhile, Rhino and Baron, they wrestled each other in May at NXT TakeOver Unstoppable, which at the time was Baron Corbin's best and longest match until he met Samoa Joe. And speaking of wacky timing, Connor's original partner in the Ascension was Kenneth Cameron, or as you may know him better these days, Bram, the guy with 4 TNA contracts, and who knows whether he'll ever be back there. But hey, the fans were really into the Ascension, and the former champions actually looked pretty good here. And to be fair, I don't even know the last time they looked this good on the main roster. Baron got the heat on Victor by throwing him shoulder first into the ring post. Yes, Ascension played the default baby faces here. Corbin looked very good while in there with the very underrated Victor. I don't know if Corbin's just getting better or he's just, being the lucky guy in the ring with a lot of good wrestlers. Connor got the hot tag and did the flip-flop and fly on Rhino, but the announcers never even made note of that. The finish saw Rhino miss a gore, Corbin breaking up an attempt at the Fall of Man, and Rhino eventually hit the second gore attempt on Connor for the win. Devin Taylor was with Neville and Solomon Crow, who are going to be taking part in the tournament tonight. Neville was excited to take part in the tournament to pay tribute to Dusty Rhodes, who helped him out so much. Crow, who, by the way, his birthday was yesterday, meaning Tuesday, depending on when you listen to this, he was equally excited to tag with Neville as he is to be in the tournament. Nia Jax is debuting soon. TakeOver's on October 3rd, so I imagine it'll probably be then, not October 3rd. I think it's the first Wednesday in October, which is actually the 7th. So scratch what I just said. October 7th, next TakeOver, it'll probably be when Nia Jax debuts. Alexa Bliss pinned Blue Pants next. This match was taped 10 days before TakeOver, which explains why I was the only person in the world blissfully unaware that Blue Pants would be the person in the Vaudevillain's corner. Alexa now has pink streaks in her hair to match her gear, so Blue Pants has blue streaks in her hair. Excuse me. Does that make this the darkest timeline if Blue Pants has a blue streak in her hair? And if this is the darkest timeline, does that make Corey Graves the Jeff Winger? And if it does that mean Corey Graves has to lose his arm? Hashtag and a movie. Alexa took most of the match, but Pants did look good on her comeback, leading to the chant of Blue Pants City. Unfortunately for the crowd and Ed Laredo, Bliss won with a sparkle splash. We got the most surprising part of this show, well, one of the most surprising parts of this show. William Regal's backstage with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, of all people, when suddenly Tyler Breeze stormed in and demanded to be in the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Breeze is demanding that Mr. Regal find him an important partner and enter him in the tournament. So next week, it'll be Gargano and Ciampa versus Tyler Breeze and Bull Dempsey, of all people. They re-aired the botched finish of the four-way from last week. Emma cut a promo stating that the Divas Revolution began when she faced Paige at NXT Arrival, and she's going to remind everyone who she is. Apollo Crews improved to 2-0 by taking on Martin Stone. I don't know what is up with WWE editing, but they edited out the audio of JoJo introducing Martin Stone. You could see her in the background talking into the microphone, but they removed the entire audio of it. Like the match with Dillinger, Crews took more of a beating than you would expect in this situation. Eventually, Crews made his comeback with a series of Polish hammers. He hit a Stinger Splash and a diving clothesline, and finally picked up the win with his Gorilla Press Slam and Standing Moonsault. Backstage, Jason Jordan and Chad Gable are getting ready for their tournament match with Solomon Crowe and Neville. Gable said they're writing their own ticket to the finals, and they will make Neville crash to the ground while making people forget Crowe ever existed. And finally, after all these months, Jason Jordan said that they are ready, willing, and Gable. In a wacky segment, Samoa Joe and Finn Balor became teammates for the Dusty Rhodes Classic. And then we got our weekly Eva Marie match. Eva Marie pinned Billie Kay. Billie Kay had the jobber entrance, and she had the look of complete and total dread on her face because she had to have a match carrying Eva Marie. Literally, the only good thing about Eva Marie is her gear, whereas I mentioned last week, she has that top that crisscrosses like the O in the ROH logo, but that really should be the new ROH logo, by the way, is, Eva Marie's boobs and her gear like that. Anyway, Kay became the biggest babyface in company history, which kicked Eva Marie right in the face. For the first 98% of this match, Eva looked better than she did last week. Unfortunately, Corey Graves is the most obnoxious announcer in the world, and he would not shut up about how Eva Marie would be champion one day, which all but confirms my fears of who Bayley's next foe was going to be. Kay had the match won with a suplex. Yes, a suplex. Eva forgot to kick out, so the referee had to hold up his count at 2. The fans noticed this. Everyone except for the announcers noticed this, because Corey Graves would not shut up about how Eva kicked out, which he did not. I'd like to point out it is not the same referee as last week, who counted to 3 and awarded the match to Emma. I wish it was, but it wasn't. Eva won with the Kendrick. The less said about that match, the better. Enzo, Big Cass, Mojo, and Ryder were all happy last week after winning their 8-man tag. However, they couldn't agree on where to go after the show to hang out, so they all left separately. Okay. Then we got our final match of the night and the second match of the first round of the tag team tournament. Jason Jordan and Chad Gable scoring an upset, defeating Neville and Solomon Crowe. This is when I had to point out how obnoxious Corey Graves was getting, and it's literally getting to the point where I want to mute the television because I don't want to hear him. Gable and Crowe did some really good wrestling together, and then Neville and Jordan tagged in and looked even better. So long story short, these four had a terrific match given the time constraints, and would probably have an even better one if they had 15 to 20 minutes. The heels used a waist lock of all things to take Crow down and give Solomon the business. Crow fought and fought to get the tags, and the fans exploded for the hot tag to Neville. The former champion took apart his foes. He went for the Red Arrow, but Gable pulled Jordan out of the ring. So Neville, while standing on the top rope, turned around and did an Asai moonsault to the floor onto Jordan, which was followed by Crow hitting a suicide dive to Gable. Neville went for a springboard what a maneuver into the ring, but Jason Jordan caught him and threw him across the ring. Crow at this point had made his way back to the apron, and he blind tagged himself in, and that was the end for the babyfaces. Jordan and Gable immediately cut him off and picked up the surprising win with their finish. Now you may have noticed I never mentioned that at any point they showed the brackets, and they never even said how many teams were in the tournament. So I was just assuming, given how many weeks there were until TakeOver, that it was an 8-team tournament. I was wrong. They showed the brackets for 5 seconds at the end of this match. And on top of that, it was so small that after the show ended, I had to go back, press pause, walk up to the TV with a pen and a notebook, and write down the teams. And even then, and I've got a really big TV, even then, I had to squint to read half of the teams. But I got them all, thankfully. And here's the brackets from top to bottom. Finn Balor and Samoa Joe versus the Lucha Dragons. And the winner of that will take on the winner of Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy versus Angelo Dawkins and Sawyer Fulton. The next section has Dash and Dawson versus Tucker Knight and Elias Sampson. And the winner of that will face the winner of Blake and Murphy versus the Vaudevillains. We then get the Hype Bros versus Marcus Louis and Alexander Wolf, whoever that is. And the winner of that will take on Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, who won tonight. And then the last bracket, Rhino and Baron Corbin, will meet the winner of Tyler Breeze and Bull Dempsey versus Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, of all people. So that's it for this week. The show was fine. It's another one of those in the string of NXT shows that if you miss it, you didn't miss anything. But if you watched it, you enjoyed most of it, which is more than you can say about a lot of WWE shows and wrestling shows in general these days. So that's it. By the way, programming note, Wrestling Outsiders Podcast is now on talkshoe.com, TalkShoe.com. Go over there. You do a little search in the search bar for Wrestling Outsiders. We're only one name that, so it pops right up. And listen to our shows. This week, tonight, we're reviewing Bash at the Beach 2000. And at some point later this week, I am supposed to have an interview with Chelsea Green of Tough Enough. So check that out when that posts. And I want to thank everyone for listening. Hope you have a great day and a good rest of your week.
You're listening to Emerson Whitner's NXT Report on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.